Hey dolls, as it's World Mental Health Day, I thought I'd do a little video to talk about my mental health and how it's affected me and my family and my friends. So, when I was 18, well, nearly 18, I started having anxiety attacks, which mainly consisted of having a dry mouth, feeling like I couldn't breathe, like I was choking, and then of course that went into panic. And then pretty soon after that, it became an everyday occurrence, and then it started affecting how I lived. And then for a couple of weeks, I was like agoraphobic. I was scared to leave the house. And then over time, things just calmed down with the help of family and friends and Patty the Po. But what was really hard is the not knowing. It's so. If I think back to the first time I started having the symptoms of anxiety, not knowing what they are is terrifying. Some of the symptoms that I had were, so I couldn't breathe, so like shortness of breath, like a panic. I'd have tingling in my left arm, so I thought I was having a heart attack. I would have dizziness, which is that is one of the things that I find the worst about my anxiety is the dizziness, because it's like being a constant state of just swirliness, and so you can't find your feet. So there, you're really tense. It's not very nice at all. So I used to feel like my symptoms were, I used to feel like I was having a heart attack. I used to feel like I was going to be sick. I used to feel like I was going to faint. I used to feel like I was going to die. I used to feel that really, really hot, that I was going to wee myself. These symptoms became an everyday occurrence. So as you can imagine, they would have affected your life. But at that time, I didn't know anything about mental health. I had no idea what anxiety was. I thought it was a taboo subject and I didn't want to discuss it. And it got to the point where my mum and dad were concerned for my well-being, and they had kind of an intervention where they said, right, okay, so this is happening, what can we do? And then, so that was 18, and then through their help, I didn't go to the doctors. I don't advise this, but this is my story. I didn't go to the doctors and get plodding on and ploughing through, and then it got to the point where it went away. It went away. And then I did a little show called Hairspray at my local theatre, and the symptoms came back 10 times worse. I then started to get swirliness in my eyes, so I'd get like all blurriness in my eyes. So as you can imagine, it was absolutely terrifying. And then also to then have to go on stage and perform with all these things in your head, it was horrible. One night, we were doing the show, and it was towards the end of Act 1, but I had a completely out-of-body experience. I was doing this number, I was singing a part of this song, and I felt like my whole body lifted, and my whole soul lifted out of my body, and was like watching me do it, and that freaked me out. To the point when I came home that evening, because no one was in to watch me, I had to get at the age of 25, I had to get my mom to sleep with me. She said, I just don't feel right. Anyway, then again, I thought that was just the pressure of Hairspray, and then Hairspray finished, blah, blah, blah. Felt loads better, so there was the pressure of Hairspray, but it was still niggling and naggling, and it started to affect the way I was, and how I wouldn't do things. I'd really change my behaviour around certain situations, and I wouldn't go out, and I didn't want to be in big crowds. And then I'd say about 2 years ago, I had just a really bad time, and I couldn't control my emotions, and so I went to the doctor. Before I knew about mental health, I was really worried that they're going to say that I was mad, but obviously I was not mad. This is just a thing that happens to people. It's a natural illness. It's not just because it's in your head and you can't see it doesn't make it any more or less scary than if it was a rash or a broken bone. But I went to the doctors and they took me to counselling. So I had counselling for about 7 sessions, and that helped. And then I went about my life and I felt really good. And then again, mental health comes and goes, and then I had a really bad bout of mental health due to what was going on in my life. And I went to the doctors again, and they took me to another therapist, and they gave me medication to try. And I was really and ahhing about medication, but but at that point I wouldn't try anything, and I was on half a dose. I was on half a tablet a day, and now I'm on. Then I went on to a tablet a day, and now I'm on a tablet every other day, and I found that really helped. And again, some people might say it's a placebo. Even if it is a placebo, it really worked for me. And through my therapy and my CBT, which is like cognitive behaviour therapy, I began to, like, little bits of me start coming back, and I was less afraid. If I was to describe anxiety to somebody, it's like the feeling of constant doom and darkness, racing thoughts. Oh my god, just you should attack me. These thoughts did, but also it would always be the first. It'd be here all the time, here. So before I do anything, it was, well, how will my anxiety be, and how would that be if that happened, and or if I go and it's like this, and so my anxiety was my first port of call. And then I found out through my therapist that I was addicted to the anxiety. So I was addicted to that feeling of, I was addicted to it because that's all I'd known. And then after some time, and through working really hard and exposure therapy, I really gained. I got myself back. I feel so much better now. I feel like a really good point. But I still have bad days and good days, like we all do. But luckily, I've got really supportive friends and family. And luckily, I can go to them at any point and go, listen, this is how I feel, and they understand. I don't want a parade. I don't want a faff around me. I don't want people running at me with water and fanning me and telling me to calm down. I don't want that. I just want to tell somebody so I can sit down and get my thoughts together. That's all I want. And luckily, I've got to the place now where I have people that will really help me and do help me. I have friends that I go to London with, and even though they love to sit in the middle of the row, they will sit on the aisle for me because they know that it's my dick brain. It's not me being, well, I want to sit on the aisle. No, I have to. I say again, have to. I like to sit on the aisle because at any point I can then leave during the show. Weird, but I know. But it's that escape, like fight or flight, that we have. I come home from work or from a day out or just being at home, and I'll just say to my mum, "Can I cry?" Sounds so dramatic. And then I'll just sit by her and like get really upset and cry, but she won't react like, she won't give me a full on Glenn Close try and stop me crying. She just let it out. It's sad. Sadness is an emotion, and crying gets the sad out. Apparently, that's what the song says. But it just really helps me de-stress, and then I'm absolutely fine. Here are some of the things that I used to be irrationally scared of. So, big one was fainting. I've never fainted, touch wood. I have never fainted in my whole life, but I was absolutely convinced that I was going to faint. So I used to worry that I was going to faint. I used to worry that I was going to have an anxiety attack. I was worried it was going to be too busy and too crowded. I used to worry that there wouldn't be a toilet. I used to worry that it would be too hot. I used to always wear, like, well, I still do because I'm lazy, but I used to wear joggers and baggy tops because I was afraid of getting too hot. I was afraid of smelling. I used to be really concerned that I'd smell. I used to be concerned that I'd fall over. I used to be concerned that I'd embarrass myself. I used to be concerned that I would not have enough to eat, so I'd be shaky and wouldn't be able to concentrate. I'd be concerned. I'd be worried about if I had to use a lift. I mean, the list is endless. I used to worry about going to the theatre because I like sitting near the front because I can't stand people's heads in my way because it distracts me. I used to worry that, like, if I had to leave or I fainted, that everyone would see me and I'd cause a commotion, which is what I wouldn't want. I used to worry about like silly things like, what about if my car won't start and I can't get somewhere? What about if I miss the train? I used to worry about if I'm going to feel dizzy. Basically, I used to spend my whole thought process used to be, what if this, what if that, blah, blah. And through therapy, it's just that nowadays the same. One day I could go to London, because I used to be scared of going to London, which was awful. I used to be scared of the train, the people, the place, how busy it would be, the theatre. I mean, yeah, it's, yeah. So I used to, so through therapy, she taught me how to just completely relax and calm down, because no 2 days are the same. And so what happened this time in London won't happen the next time in London. Me and my therapist decided it was best that I try exposure therapy, which is where you expose yourself to the thing that frightens you or causes you panic, and try and get over it and overcome it. And luckily, it was the time that Company opened at the West End with Patti LuPone. So I love Company and I love Patti, as you all know. So that was my focus. So I went to London. I saw Company about 9 times, and again, so glad I saw it. Fantastic show, but it was therapy for me, because I used to be so excited to see the show. It's such a great show. But that's what I used to go, okay, so I'm going to Company again. So this time I'll try this, and this time I'll try walking. I'll try this. I used it as my platform. So I used it as my end game, and it really worked. And I know it sounds really dramatic. That Company, that show was so important to me because of how brilliant it was, but also it got me out of the house. It got me to London. It got me back feeling better. And then since that's happened, and since I've got over it, and I felt like I've really overcome it through the help of Company and other shows, that I've been to London on my own, and I've gone to see shows on my own in London. And sometimes I help at the Olivier Awards. I assist the producer. And I had a night free, and I rang my mum. Mum was like, "Oh, how are you? How are you feeling?" And basically, because she thought that I'd be really anxious. But I said, no, I just booked a ticket to see Tina. She went, who with? I was like, on my own, Mum. She went, great, amazing. And I came home from the Olivier Awards last year, and I was greeted at the train station, and Mum was in tears, because she could tell what a big shift had happened to me, and how much more confident that I was with regards to life. And that's really important. So people look at me and see all happy and smiles and cracking jokes and making light of the situation. And yes, I do, because I always feel that humour takes the weight out of things. If you can laugh at something, you take the power from it. But some days are just bad days, and we're all human. I'm just this person, and there's only so much I can take. And some days, if I feel life's too hard or life's a bit too heavy, I will do things like walk my dog. I will cook. I will look at making costumes. I'll do things to distract myself, and just to be mindful. That's my mindfulness. I haven't mastered the knack of meditation yet, but I find my meditation walking my dog. So, hey dolls, I feel like I've rambled on for ages talking about my mental health, but it's a subject that I'm really, really passionate about, and your mental health is really important. Take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, and be kind to others, and just be open and realise that nobody is alone.